they were angry with Camilla. They were furious. And not only that, Kate and William were angry too. And that anger, of course, Harry was angry, that anger went right through that small part of the congregation.
In a move no one saw coming, Queen Camilla has been formally excluded from any line of royal succession, and with her, so too have her children. At a time when the monarchy is navigating its most delicate generational transition in decades, this quiet but seismic decision has sent shockwaves through the palace and beyond. Ave. Why now? Why her? And was this exclusion simply protocol or a royal countermeasure against something more ambitious? Whispers inside Buckingham suggest that Queen Camilla may have quietly lobbied to reshape the future of the monarchy itself, with her own children in mind. As King Charles distances his legacy from Camilla's lineage, questions mount. Was this a correction or a confrontation? And what does this mean for the House of Wales, now firmly rising at the monarchy's center? There are rules, there are traditions, but at some point, there are choices. And this was a choice. Welcome back to Royal Realness. Tonight, we begin with a headline that has left royal commentators stunned and the public sharply divided. The official line of succession remains unchanged on paper, but behind palace doors, King Charles has made a defining move. Queen Camilla and her children will play no role in the future of the crown. This revelation doesn't just draw a line in the sand, it redraws the very shape of the royal family's future. While legally, only Parliament can alter the formal line of succession, Buckingham Palace insiders confirm what many had long suspected. King Charles has firmly, and now irrevocably, excluded Camilla's two children from any royal inheritance, power, or future title consideration. Moreover, he has clarified internally, and now symbolically in writing, that Queen Camilla herself is not part of the succession framework, nor will she carry any legacy influence beyond his reign. The announcement, made quietly through legal channels and now confirmed through a series of deliberate actions, marks a turning point in the modern monarchy. For centuries, the British monarchy has relied on strict hereditary rules to ensure a stable transfer of power. The order is clear: Prince William, Prince of Wales; Prince George of Wales; Princess Charlotte of Wales; Prince Louis of Wales; Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex; Prince Archie of Sussex; Princess Lilibet of Sussex. This line has been printed, taught, recited, and studied. But never before has the royal institution faced this exact configuration: a queen consort with children from a previous marriage, who are not blood descendants of the monarch. And now, they will never be treated as such. Sources close to the palace confirm that King Charles, after weeks of private deliberation, has ordered that Camilla's children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, be entirely excluded from any symbolic or ceremonial association with royal inheritance, duties, or state honors. They will not receive titles. They will not be elevated. They will not be recognized in any succession narrative. This decision, while legally unnecessary given their non-royal status, was taken deliberately and officially to send a message. In contrast, the royal family has launched a visible consolidation around the House of Wales. Princess Charlotte was recently honored with a private audience with the king, followed by her formal inclusion in the core four of the monarchy's next generation. Prince Louis has been photographed in more public engagements with his grandfather than ever before. And Prince George, already known by palace staff as the heir-in-waiting, has begun receiving briefings from the king's senior aides, including an early education in statecraft and constitutional history. All of this amounts to more than symbolic posturing. It is a clear transfer of emotional, moral, and institutional energy toward the Wales line. Prince William and Princess Catherine are no longer the future of the monarchy. They are the present. And it is Catherine's family, in particular, that is quietly but unmistakably shaping the cultural image of the royal household. It did not go unnoticed when Michael Middleton was seen entering Clarence's house last month for what aides described as a consultative private meeting. Nor was it coincidental that Carole Middleton was seated prominently during the Princess of Wales's state reception in May, well ahead of various junior royals. In the past, these moments might have been dismissed as harmless gestures of familial affection. But not now. Not after the king's decision to publicly exclude Camilla's children from all royal proceedings and future considerations. Not after reports that Charles himself has asked Michael Middleton to advise William on matters related to private estates and public trust portfolios. The message is not subtle. In a monarchy where perception is power, the Middleton name has now been tethered to continuity and legitimacy, a powerful counterpoint to the unease still surrounding Camilla's position in the public eye. To many royal watchers, Camilla's status has never been fully accepted. Despite Queen Elizabeth II's 2022 statement naming her queen consort in due course, The public, particularly across England, Scotland, and Australia, has shown persistent resistance to granting her full emotional legitimacy. Polls show that a significant portion of British citizens continue to view Diana, Princess of Wales, as the monarchy's last true Queen of Hearts. And now, Charles's move seems to acknowledge that sentiment. By refusing to enshrine Camilla's legacy in the royal succession, he is drawing a sharp distinction between the woman he loves and the institution he protects. It is a decision that may come at personal cost, but one he seemingly believes is necessary. As we begin this six-part investigation, we will explore the emotional and political stakes of the king's decision, the true role of the Middleton family in shaping the monarchy's next phase, the silent but powerful ascent of Princess Catherine as a symbolic matriarch, and why Prince William may already be leading, in all but name. We'll examine the private meetings and political briefings that preceded this announcement, and how Charles's inner circle reacted to the move to cut off Camilla's heirs from the royal path. But make no mistake, the line of succession is no longer just a list, it's a statement of values. And King Charles, in perhaps his most daring act as sovereign, has just made his loudest statement yet. It wasn't a whim, it wasn't a punishment. It was the result of weeks, maybe years, of hard truths finally being spoken aloud. Long before the royal succession headlines broke, long before Queen Camilla's children were erased from all ceremonial and dynastic roles, something changed behind the gates of Buckingham Palace. What appeared to the public as a sudden shift was, in truth, the culmination of a quiet but intense internal reckoning. And at the center of it all, a monarch confronting the limits of compromise, the future of his legacy, and the cost of emotional diplomacy. According to palace aides who spoke under condition of anonymity, the conversation began in what many consider the monarchy's most sacred inner sanctum, the king's private study, a room lined with portraits, sealed letters, and the weight of history. In the weeks following Prince George's 11th birthday, King Charles reportedly requested a confidential review of ceremonial succession practices, estate inheritance, and future non-legal recognitions within the royal household. While the legal line of succession is untouchable without Parliament, symbolic recognitions, honorary trust assignments, and estate roles are entirely at the sovereign's discretion. It was here, in these intimate sessions, that the name of Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's son, was raised. According to sources close to the matter, Camilla had quietly suggested months prior that Tom be given a more visible role in estate management, or at the very least, receive recognition as a trusted family steward of certain ceremonial functions tied to duchy properties. The proposal was not received well. One senior courtier described the king's reaction as calm but cold. Another noted that Charles immediately requested clarity on what roles had already been offered to Tom or Laura Lopes and whether their inclusion had occurred without his full knowledge. What followed was a private audit of royal engagements, estate appointments, and unofficial titles over the past 24 months. The results, by all accounts, left the king furious. It was in this context that one particular legal document arrived on Charles's desk, an unsigned draft, apparently circulated without his formal request, outlining potential inheritance provisions that included minor ceremonial privileges for Camilla's children upon her passing. The paper bore no official stamp, but its presence triggered alarm. Who commissioned it? Who reviewed it? And why was it so confidently framed as expected protocol? The document was traced back to a private law firm that had once advised Camilla personally during the early 2000s before she became queen consort. Its reactivation suggested independent preparation, a parallel track of planning that did not involve Buckingham Palace legal teams. Within days, King Charles summoned his private secretary and royal legal advisors for a full internal review. His instructions were unambiguous: no titles, no inheritance provisions, no symbolic elevations, not for Camilla's children, not now, not ever. As these legal shadows stirred, two figures stepped into the light and changed the course of the conversation completely. The first was Prince William. Sources confirm that Charles requested a series of private father-son meetings, described by aides as longer, more strategic, and emotionally raw than any they've had before. William reportedly spoke firmly against any backdoor legitimization of Camilla's children. His message was clear: we're building a monarchy for the next 100 years. That means clarity, no distractions, no half-royals. The public won't accept it, and neither will I. It was also during this time that Michael Middleton was invited to Sandringham under the radar. While no cameras captured the moment, insiders say he was consulted directly on matters of long-term estate structuring and public trust management roles that many believed would one day fall to William. The optics were impossible to ignore. Charles looked not to Camilla's children for support, but to Catherine's father. The tension reached a quiet boil, when Camilla confronted Charles about the exclusion. Those close to the palace say the queen consort expressed shock and hurt that her family would be removed so publicly from royal pathways. She defended her children as private citizens with no ambitions, and insisted the suggestions made were harmless reflections, not formal requests. But Charles, reportedly, had already drawn the line. "This isn't about your children," he told her. "It's about what the monarchy will become when I'm gone." Oh. That moment, described by one insider as icy and final, marked the symbolic end of Camilla's influence on matters of succession. She remains by the king's side in appearance, but behind the scenes, her voice has been all but muted. Critics of the move have pointed out that Charles's decision risks alienating a generation of moderates who saw his marriage to Camilla as a healing gesture, not a fracture. But supporters argue the opposite, that excluding Camilla's children was not vindictive, it was clarifying. In a monarchy that lives and dies on public trust, gray areas are dangers, not assets. And for Charles, it seems, the time for ambiguity has passed. The monarchy doesn't always speak. Sometimes, it simply gestures, and those gestures say everything. In a realm built not on laws but on legacy, the British monarchy has long understood one powerful truth: perception is inheritance. And today, as the royal household undergoes one of its quietest yet most consequential transitions in recent memory, the signs are everywhere if you know where to look. The decision by King Charles to exclude Queen Camilla's children from all succession-adjacent privileges was not followed by a formal address or state statement. There were no microphones, no press briefings, no policy white papers. Instead, the monarchy did what it has always done best. It let the camera lens tell the story. Since early summer, royal watchers have observed a distinct shift in the staging of public appearances. Seating arrangements, balcony lineups, and even who walks beside whom have changed subtly, but unmistakably. At Trooping the Color, it was the Wales family, William, Catherine, George, Charlotte, and Louis, who stood centered on the Buckingham Palace balcony. Charles, of course, held a position beside Catherine. Camilla, notably, was placed further to the right, flanked by lesser-known royals, a visual softening of her once dominant proximity. At a garden party weeks later, Tom Parker Bowles was nowhere in sight, despite previously being included in similar informal gatherings. Laura Lopes, too, has reportedly stepped back from royal functions, though no official statement has been made. The message: the monarchy is clarifying who belongs to the future and who doesn't. If appearances are deliberate, so too is the press access. Royal correspondents have noted a change in briefing tone from palace sources. Whereas Camilla's family was once gently included in side stories and social articles, they've now all but disappeared from official royal press kits. Recent major publications from the Times to the Telegraph have referred to the next generation of royals solely as George, Charlotte, and Louis, with increasing emphasis on Catherine's influence in their upbringing. Hello magazine, traditionally friendlier toward extended family narratives, recently ran a full feature on the future queen, Catherine and the modern monarchy, with no mention of Camilla or her children. The public narrative is being tightened, focused, and reframed around a single axis: the House of Wales. Behind this carefully drawn image stands a family once considered outsiders and now central to the firm's public and private balance. Insiders say Carole Middleton has become a calming anchor during recent emotional turbulence inside the palace. She's been spotted entering Kensington Palace through staff entrances, reportedly to offer support during Catherine's private planning meetings. Meanwhile, Michael Middleton's quiet advisory role is becoming less of a secret. Recent leaks confirm that he has helped facilitate a long-term charitable trust restructuring tied to the Duchy of Cornwall, a role that would have historically been reserved for aristocratic insiders. One aide reportedly quipped, "The Middletons don't need titles. They have something far more powerful: proximity and permanence." Observers have also pointed to more subtle cues in the rituals themselves. At Princess Charlotte's recent 10th birthday portrait session, a rarely discussed but powerful gesture occurred. The young royal was photographed alone with the king seated in the Queen Mother's favorite garden. This was the first time a solo portrait of Charlotte and Charles had been released without the presence of Catherine or William. It wasn't a coincidence. Royal biographer Eloise Granger notes, "That image wasn't about nostalgia, it was about succession." It positioned Charlotte not just as a granddaughter, but as a future symbol, the stabilizer between generations. Charlotte wore blue, the color most associated with Queen Elizabeth II's early reign. The brooch she wore was traced to a gift from Princess Diana's collection, known to have been passed down via Catherine. Every element of the photo said one thing: this is the line that continues. While the Wales-Middleton axis rises, Camilla's public role has quietly diminished. Since the king's decision, Camilla has cancelled or declined invitations to no fewer than 4 public events, citing fatigue or schedule realignment. But insiders confirm that many of these cancellations followed decisions by palace advisors to restructure ceremonial roles around William and Catherine. In particular, the Queen Consort was expected to lead a literacy event at Windsor this autumn. That duty was quietly reassigned not to Catherine, but to Princess Beatrice, marking a broader effort to decentralize ceremonial power away from Camilla altogether. The British public, especially among long-term royal watchers, has not been quiet. Across social media and comment sections, there's been a resurgence of emotional loyalty toward Diana, and by extension, her grandchildren. Phrases like true heirs, the rightful future, and Catherine, our queen, have trended repeatedly, following high-profile engagements. Polls conducted by YouGov and Daily Express both show over 61% support for excluding non-bloodline consorts and their children from all ceremonial or symbolic succession roles. While Camilla continues to fulfill official duties in name, her public legitimacy has eroded not by force, but by fading relevance. As the House of Wales steps into the center of the stage, and the Middletons solidify their informal authority, the monarchy is preparing for the next act. No crown has changed hands, no abdication has been declared. Yet within the palaces, the shift is unmistakable. The next reign has already begun. For a monarchy that thrives on symbolism, few things are as powerful as what's not being said. There has been no official announcement, no grand ceremony. But across every wing of the royal infrastructure, from foreign policy briefings to national patronages, one reality is clear. Prince William and Princess Catherine are already performing the duties of sovereign leadership. This isn't a future tense scenario. It is the current operating model of the British crown, and it's happening with the king's quiet blessing. In recent months, King Charles has scaled back significantly on high-pressure public engagements, citing a lightened schedule aligned with his health considerations. Buckingham Palace has framed this as a natural evolution, typical of any monarch in their later years. But insiders paint a more strategic picture. Behind the scenes, Prince William has attended multiple state briefings solo, including security consultations with MI5, a role historically reserved for the reigning monarch or regent. He also led a private audience with the British High Commissioner to Canada, not officially published in the court circular, but leaked to select media as a working lunch of constitutional relevance. Meanwhile, Catherine has presided over meetings with the Royal Foundation's International Climate Advisory Board, flanked by advisors once assigned to Charles's office. These are not soft diplomacy tasks. They are legacy-shaping operations. It is, in every sense, a quiet regency in motion. One of the clearest examples of this power transition occurred in June during a state visit that never officially made front-page news. While King Charles remained in Sandringham for rest, Princess Catherine hosted the Emir of Qatar's sister, Sheikha Al Mayasa, in a private meeting at Windsor, followed by a curated tour of the royal collection. Observers at the time dismissed it as a cultural courtesy, but palace aides confirmed the meeting was strategic, part of a broader effort to realign UK-Middle East cultural ties in preparation for upcoming trade and energy diplomacy. Catherine didn't just smile and nod, one source said. She outlined a full portfolio of upcoming royal engagements across the Gulf, discussed soft power coordination, and took questions alone. No handlers, no Charles, no Camilla. It was, by all accounts, a trial run for the throne. William's recent engagements have also taken on a new tonal authority. During a visit to RAF Valley in Wales, military personnel were reportedly instructed to prepare as if briefing the monarch. Isn't out. One high-ranking officer told The Times, "It's not about salutes or protocol anymore. When William walks into a room, people know he's the next head of state in all but name, and they act accordingly." At a recent Commonwealth summit, William was granted his own diplomatic suite, not merely as the Prince of Wales, but as a royal envoy with sovereign-level clearance. This was a deliberate shift. One senior diplomat described it as trial balloon territory for future coronation dynamics. The king, according to those close to him, has encouraged this shift privately, even if he cannot yet formalize it publicly. Observers might wonder why King Charles, still relatively early in his reign, would permit such a visible transfer of power. The answer, aides say, lies in a combination of health, legacy, and personal clarity. While Charles has not abdicated, he is said to be deeply aware of the public's emotional investment in the younger generation, particularly in Catherine's moral image and William's stable presence. He doesn't want to repeat his mother's mistake, one insider shared. The Queen held on to every thread of power until her final breath. Charles wants to distribute authority before the throne becomes too heavy. And so, piece by piece, duties are being redistributed not to Camilla, not to extended Windsors, but to the Wales family. It's not a coincidence. It's succession engineering in real time. While William and Catherine take on state-facing roles, the Middleton family continues to rise in silent importance, not as loud advisors, but as emotional stabilizers and operational supporters. Reports have confirmed that Michael Middleton now advises informally on royal land sustainability, and Carole Middleton has helped coordinate early childhood initiative liaisons, drawing from her business experience. Most crucially, palace aides say Princess Charlotte's recent education planning has involved input from Catherine's family, indicating a long-term investment in preparing her for a central public role. The Middleton presence is no longer informal, it is institutional. And unlike the children of Camilla, who have been formally excluded from royal operations, the Middletons are woven into the monarchy's functioning DNA. This is not merely a delegation of duties. It is, in effect, a displacement of one household in favor of another. Camilla remains by Charles's side, yes, but her influence, her family, her legacy are no longer attached to the monarchy's moving machinery. William and Catherine are not just acting in support of the king. They are acting in place of the king with his full awareness and, reportedly, his quiet endorsement. We'll turn our attention to the next generation, George, Charlotte, and Louis, and how the royal family is preparing the children of Wales to become not just figureheads, but active participants in the crown's modern evolution. Because succession is no longer a moment that arrives with a crown. It is a process that unfolds, one engagement at a time. And for this royal household, the future is already speaking in the voices of its youngest heirs. Succession isn't declared. It's revealed not just by the titles we inherit, but by the legacy we choose to carry. As the British monarchy enters a new chapter of restrained pageantry and carefully curated influence, one truth now stands above the rest. The crown has shifted not by law, but by design. King Charles may still reign in title, but his legacy has already been handed off. Not to Queen Camilla, not to her children, but to a trio of young heirs raised in Windsor, schooled in duty, and grounded in the ethos of a family once considered common. The Middletons, with William and Catherine now acting in all but coronated capacity, and with Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis positioned as the visible and moral future of the firm, this is no longer the House of Windsor alone. It is, undeniably, the House of Wales, and the world is watching not for the transition, but for what comes after. In the wake of King Charles's internal directive, excluding Queen Camilla's children from all royal succession frameworks, attention has pivoted fully toward the Wales children. Prince George, at just 12, is already showing the hallmarks of a disciplined heir in training. He now receives monthly constitutional briefings from palace advisors, a ritual that began quietly, but has now been confirmed by sources close to Sandringham. According to insiders, George is expected to accompany his father to next year's Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOG, in Samoa, his first major international royal duty. Princess Charlotte, meanwhile, has emerged not merely as a spare, but as a symbol of continuity. With public affection that mirrors Diana's and a presence that rivals Catherine's, Charlotte's growing role in the public eye is no accident. Her solo appearances at cultural events, paired with deliberate fashion callbacks to Queen Elizabeth II, suggest a long-term strategy to position her as a modern ambassador for heritage and diplomacy. And Prince Louis, once viewed as the playful youngest sibling, has recently taken on low-pressure ceremonial roles, including accompanying the King and Queen on a church walkabout in Balmoral, where he reportedly charmed crowds and engaged confidently with veterans. This isn't token exposure, it's rehearsal. The future monarchs are not waiting in the wings. They are walking the stage. Behind these young heirs stands a family that understands balance and boundaries. The Middletons have played their role with precision, never overstepping, never pushing, but always present. Their influence is not marked by titles, but by stability, discretion, and an understanding of public mood. Sources close to Kensington Palace say Michael and Carole Middleton have been consulted on everything from George's early media exposure to Charlotte's education options, particularly regarding international baccalaureate-style programming. James Middleton, Catherine's brother, has also been invited to select private royal events, often in the company of Prince William, as a quiet sign of inner-circle trust. What's unfolding isn't favoritism, it's realism. The Middletons represent a cultural and emotional anchor for the next generation of royals. One the public perceives as authentic, reliable, and above all, unpretentious. This is something Camilla's family could never fully replicate, and it's the unspoken reason Charles's decision to formally exclude them from the monarchy's future faced little internal resistance. The nation, it seems, had already made up its mind. If this story is a tale of emergence, it's also one of quiet departures. Queen Camilla remains the consort of a reigning monarch, but her influence, once substantial, has been visibly scaled back. Her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, have faded entirely from royal visibility. No public patronages, no advisory roles, no behind-the-scenes portfolios. They have returned to private life, not by scandal, but by structural rejection. It is said that Charles's decision came not from malice, but from clarity. After months of internal reviews, emotional confrontations, and whispered counsel from William and trusted aides, Charles concluded that the inclusion of Camilla's children risked damaging the crown's public cohesion. There was, in the end, no way to integrate Camilla's bloodline into the monarchy without destabilizing the succession narrative. Camilla reportedly accepted this, but not without sorrow. She had long believed that love would rewrite the rules of monarchy. In the end, tradition held firmer than affection. She remains, but she no longer leads. Polls taken following the king's internal decision to exclude Camilla's children showed a surprising surge in public approval. A YouGov poll revealed 64% of respondents supported maintaining a purely bloodline-based succession policy. 58% said that non-blood family members should not represent the monarchy in any ceremonial capacity. 70% agreed that the Wales children represent the most trustworthy image of the future monarchy. This wasn't just a procedural win, it was a cultural reset. And it further validated the monarchy's pivot toward a tightened core led by William, anchored by Catherine, and supported by a legacy-ready trio of heirs. Perhaps the most unexpected consequence of this royal transition is the legacy it offers King Charles himself. After a lifetime of waiting, of controversy, and of reconstruction, Charles has chosen not to hoard the throne, but to prepare its foundation for the next generation. His exclusion of Camilla's heirs was not an act of division, it was an act of preservation. By handing the future to William and Catherine, and by embracing the soft power of the Middletons, Charles may have done what few monarchs achieved during their reign. He made peace with what comes after him. He accepted that his legacy would not be written solely by what he built, but by what he chose to leave behind. In a world skeptical of monarchy, the Windsors have found a new configuration that works. A king who governs with restraint, a prince who leads with principle, a princess who connects through compassion, and children who symbolize a hope that isn't performative but personal. This is the new royal compact, streamlined, emotionally credible, and quietly modern. It is not flashy, it is not loud, but it is deliberate, and that in the long game of monarchy may be the greatest strength of all. The story of this transition wasn't told in speeches or ceremonies. It unfolded through gestures, absences, realignments, and most importantly, choices. Camilla and her children are no longer part of the succession picture. The Middleton family, once quiet in-laws, are now guardians of continuity, and William and Catherine are no longer preparing for the crown. They are already carrying it. The reign of King Charles continues, but the future has arrived not with trumpets, but with trust.